Welcome, everyone. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good meeting tonight, right? I think so. Baseball.
Yeah.
Baseball. As a die-in-the-heart MSU fan, I've been rooting for those guys like crazy, so I just wanted to know that, okay? Thanks. Starts in 1 minute.
Please call the roll. Noting that Ms. Fisher has provided notice for being absent.
Okay,
And the students did too.
yeah, okay, I did have that. Okay. Councilmember Bell,
Here.
Councilmember Cousins.
Here.
Councilmember Knight,
Here.
Councilmember Michelle.
Present.
Councilmember Smith,
Here.
Mayor Keeler.
Here. Thank you. Item C is approval of the meeting minutes from the regular city council meeting on June 10th, 2019.
I'll move the minutes of the regular council meeting June 10th, 2019.
Moved by Smith, thank you.
Support.
Second by Bell, thank you. Mr. Smith, any?
Just a couple minor things. On page 3, under the community development manager, under the second bullet, I think it should be fencing instead of fending.
Yeah,
And the last bullet where it says DT is relooking, I call relooking being a
How about revisit?
actual word.
actually what was said was re-looking and what, but I didn't want to put that in. I thought that was
Yeah.
even more complicated.
I would just say DT is looking again at the request.
Or revisited, like Michelle suggested.
Either way.
Okay. Let's use revisiting, or visiting.
That's all I have.
Mr. Bell? Other council members? I just have one semi-clarification under, on page, under new business L1, the easement agreement with the community schools.
Say it again. What the-
New business item L1,
Okay, thank
the
you.
easement agreement with the community schools.
Okay.
I don't recall if we authorized the city manager to sign the agreement or the mayor, but the way it was drafted by the school district's attorney was for me to sign it, not the city manager.
We said,
So I'm the one that technically signed it. I don't know if that makes it if there's anything, or we said city manager? I couldn't recall, so I didn't know.
because I wrote that down.
It was drafted that way in the packet though, so you could just put for, for what was in the packet too, because it was drafted that way and that was what was in the packet that way, so it's not like it's a surprise that it was the way.
Or just put city manager / or mayor.
If that's okay, I don't know. Like I said, I just wanted it to be consistent.
Yeah.
That's
Do you
what
want,
we-
I can kind of parenthesis that it was signed by the mayor? How do you want?
Just make
I
it
was
city
gonna- I was
manager
gonna-
/ mayor.
That's what I was
Okay,
going to suggest,
okay.
the city manager / mayor.
I can do that.
And you signed it already? So-
We did it last Thursday. We had to execute it before they were all, because we had to get it recorded.
Thank you.
That was my only change. Zach?
On page 3, under the Community Development Manager report, I think it's the 3045 Broad Street Committee,
Yes. Thank you.
just so posterity's checking it out.
Instead of 3025, yeah, good catch. Okay, so we have a motion to approve the minutes by Smith, second by Bell, with a couple changes. Everybody okay with those? Maker and seconder? Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes with those
Aye.
changes, signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. We have no prearranged participation, so we're down to approval of the agenda. I don't see any additional things on the table at this time, so we'll seek a motion as is, if that's appropriate.
I'll move to,
Oh, go ahead, Joe.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Moved by Knight, second by Smith. Thank you both. Any discussion this evening on the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the agenda, signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, motion carries. We have no public hearings this evening, so we're down to non-arranged participation. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak this evening? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to our communications in the packet. Starting on page 9 of our packet. There's our upcoming meeting list and our signed calendar. Any comments from council or staff on the communications?
The planning commission will be here at the senior center.
Actually, just heard
Yeah, I was gonna
before the
update.
meeting was canceled.
Oh, there's nothing.
I just talked with Nat.
Okay, sorry.
So I was gonna give that update.
So the July 9th planning commission is canceled. Okay. Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, we're down to our first report tonight. Good evening, Dan, how are you?
Good. Good evening, council.
Good evening.
In your packet, you have my report. I have a couple updates I'd like to go over with you first. A couple council meetings, I've been talking a little bit about NEPCO and Tony Grant and trying to help them save costs. We went and loaned him our sampler. Well, I found out today that he actually went back to the sampling company that's been doing the sampling and testing for him and bought a used one from them. It's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely.
My second update is we do a sewer manhole inspection. We look at every sewer manhole in the city of Dexter once a year. This year we found 2 problem areas. One was in Grandview, the new development. In the manhole, you can see that 3/4 of the end of the pipe was backed up. We went upstream, and it actually was 3/4 of the pipe was filled up. So we contacted Steve Brower on that. And then also we had a grease problem that was in the manhole right outside the monument building, which I found out later was Steve Brower again from Ms. Nichols. So I contacted him on both. He came and we looked at him, we evaluated him. Later that week, we already had Metro Sewer coming in to clean our lift station and hose them out and then do some sewer work for us, that preventative maintenance. So we talked to Metro Sewer. Steve's 2 little projects he had piggybacked on ours, and we went ahead and cleaned our lift station, jetter, and his stuff done. Obviously, he's going to pay for his portion and we'll pay for ours. Over the past 3 or 4 or 5 years that we've been doing this, we have come upon some things. This saved a lot of money just by us going out and doing a visual inspection in these manholes, which there is quite a few of them. But it's a pretty good exercise.
Is that what the guys have been walking around with the yellow
Yeah.
coastal tower doing? Okay.
So anyway, we're almost done with that for the year. So is there any questions on my report? That's only 2 updates I have.
Mr. Bell?
On both of those issues, I mean, what about the cause? So the pipe at Grandview was full of sediment, I assume?
I'm thinking some kind of building debris. It was either
Oh.
drywall mud, and it was inside his complex, or maybe some tile, grout or something.
Aren't his catch basin inlets supposed to be protected during construction?
Well, that's what they're having a hard time trying to figure out. There wasn't any sinks or toilets, is what they're telling me when they were doing all that. So I'm just guessing. I mean, it's not, not like you can
Okay,
get
so
down
this
there.
was...
It was sanitary, not
Sanitary.
It's sanitary. I'm sorry. This was sanitary, man.
Oh,
Correct.
okay.
We did get a sample, but I don't know if I got to see Steve or not. But that's what I was guessing.
The damage that we saved was of theirs, the residents, because it would have backed up into
Oh,
their,
sure. Yeah.
you know.
Right, and them are brand new, and they're using them now.
They would've been-
And then to follow up a little bit more on the monument building, they got a new manager in there, and we've been working with him for a couple years now, trying to get him not to put degreaser in the bat, to Lego it up, to actually physically take it out. So now, with Steve Brower's help, he's gonna send me a picture once a week of that cleaned out the proper way, because what happens with that degreaser, it breaks it all down, and it might go 10, 20, 30 feet, and it just
She's back up.
sees it back up. So that's a win-win too, because we've been trying to get the guy to not put the degreaser in there.
Yeah. Thanks.
When did we decide to have bees at the water tower?
When did we decide what?
To have bees at the water tower.
To have bees?
It says pulled silk bags from beehives.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
He's taking silt bags.
We have beehive as covers over Storm drain's a good one. You had me there for a minute, I'm thinking, I wrote this,
Thinking
I
what's
don't
Tim's
remember any
doing,
Bs.
what's Tim up to now?
Yeah. We had them on there when we were dumping the tower,
Right, makes sense.
making sure the iron didn't make it somewhere it didn't need to.
Other council questions for Dan?
I got
Yeah,
that.
I just have one other
Okay.
related to it says you swept Central and Baker and some of the
Yep.
other streets. And we swept the local streets, the subdivision streets yet this year?
I'm not sure
Yeah,
that,
they've
but
done
I'm
it this
sure
year.
I have. And
Yeah, they've done it at least once, if not twice this year.
I can put that in my next report.
Okay.
We'll let
Just
you
curious, I noticed some debris on a lot of the catch basins. I didn't know if that was recent or.
Well, I noticed coming right into your sub, the first entrance into your sub there. that
That's the
there's-
intersection that I'm talking about.
We'll have to talk about, I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Okay.
Because I know where that's coming from.
Okay, all right,
Coming from a resident.
okay,
Anyway.
okay. I didn't know if stuff was washing.
And then
out.
I put some PFAS information in here also for everybody to look at.
Are your numbers changing?
Pardon me?
Are your numbers changing? You have 3.6 on the PFOS.
Has it changed?
Yeah, I mean, you've done several months now.
Several months, we haven't got our last, well, actually, they tested our sludge too, the DEQ did. We haven't got them results back, Courtney, we were talking about that today. That was done in November. We've got some new test results coming back that would help out a lot to see what
We
the
don't
results.
have to do it monthly.
No.
And it takes, we don't have to do it monthly. We've had to do it twice, and we have the results. This is the first, and the second, it takes months because of the labs. There's just
Right.
not a lot of labs to do it, as I'm sure you're well aware. So we have not gotten a second set of results.
Months?
To get results,
Yeah.
at least months.
Well, we put it in the end of May, and we've got to have my waters report in with this information by the end of June, so I'm hoping that it's going to get here relatively soon.
Yeah.
They had taken samples from our sludge, because we land apply in November, the DEQ had, and we still don't have the information back on that.
Is that 12,000 number correct?
Yes, it is. I looked at it today and I quizzed the staff on it, because I thought, the reason,
Why is the combined allowable less than the total?
Andrea wasn't here today, I talked to Eric about that, but
Scott, you may know.
I do. The health advisory level of 70 is for human consumption drinking water.
Yeah.
Okay. 12 and 12,000 are surface water quality standards. State of Michigan.
Surface water.
We're discharged from the sewer.
I'm sorry?
Like discharged from our.
Right.
Yeah.
Surface water. Okay,
So-
that being the sewer.
12,000 is because the PFOA is less bioaccumulative in fish than people. It's not as toxic, they think. And have you talked, how many times has Alpha Metals sampled?
they sent out some samples like 3 weeks ago. The state asked us to have alpha metal sample twice a year. With their new permit, we made them sample 4 times a year.
So that 70 number really isn't applicable to
No.
anything we're looking at below. It's really, it should be 12,012.
Yeah, the compliance action is going to happen if the effluent from the treatment plant goes over 12,
Right, okay, I got it.
or hits 12,
It's 12.
doesn't have to go over.
Yeah, understood.
So after the last meeting, the gentleman that was in here, Bob, he
Yeah.
stopped me afterwards and we talked a little bit briefly on that. He is working with some different vendors on how he can scrub his tanks out, how he can, I guess they've got some different chemicals out there that strip this. I haven't heard of such a thing yet, but he says he's been talking to somebody. So he's thinking that it's accumulated over time at low doses, maybe in his tank or in his line. And he's hoping to be able to get rid of that, to lower that number, because obviously he doesn't want to sample 4 times a year. And then also, with his numbers being so high, I made him pay for the wastewater treatment plant sampling also, because I don't think it should be the responsibility of the whole city when we know where it's coming from.
So why did they put our level at 3.6 when the latest measurement is 1.5? According to the letter that followed.
According to the letter.
I mean, both levels are really low compared to the 12, but the end of the first paragraph of the
Well,
letter.
Yeah.
the sentence before that says 3.6.
Oh, I know, but this letter is dated April 9th. When they take the most current reading?
They got August 14th in here.
I mean, why would they, what's the point of measuring twice if you're gonna take the, and it was forever on the 3.6 because that's what, I don't understand. Anyway, it's all good information. We're well below the limits.
We're well below, and when we get the new information back, we'll compare it to what we have. But as I went through this today, I had some questions, but Andrea, our chief lab person, wasn't in today. She's off for the weekend. And I think we're heading in the right direction with Alpha Metal. They seem to be on top of stuff, so hopefully they'll be able to get that lower so they don't have to continue to do expensive sampling and also pay for ours.
Thanks for including that, Dan. It's helpful.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up is our Community Development Manager. Michelle, how are you?
I'm fine. How's council this evening? Good, thank you. Wow, that was good. You guys are getting better every time. Thank you, I appreciate it. So before I go into my updates, do you have any questions on my written report?
For the beer grotto,
Yes, sir.
will they have to apply for anything to do food service?
They won't have to apply for anything as far as planning commission. They will have to get zoning compliance in order to get their building permits from the county, as well as going through all the health department stuff on that end. So, but the liquor license did transfer. They had to do that in order to close. So. So, our housing task force, we did not have a quorum at our meeting last week, but that's partly my fault. I did not get the agenda or a reminder out to the committee to remind them that the meeting was going to be 1 week ahead. Even though we spoke about it at the last meeting, I should have had a better thought and executed that better. So we didn't have a meeting. We will come back in August. As a result, even if we had a meeting, you'll notice that I had identified that Avalon is doing a public forum on the 16th of July, and maybe the Housing Task Force might be able to use that to piggyback for some public input they wanted. Even if we had had the meeting, that would have been too short of a time frame in which to organize and really execute. And it's raining.
You're meeting in
So-
July, Michelle, right? Not,
I'm sorry?
you said August,
I'm
but you
sorry.
mean July?
Yes, the Avalon meeting is
No,
July.
I mean, you said the housing task force was in August.
Oh, I'm
but
sorry.
You're meeting in July.
It'll be in July, yes, that's when their next one will be, the fourth Thursday of the month. And we will get the agenda and their reminder out in sufficient time so that things are productive. The ZBA meeting, we do not have any applications, so that's canceled for the 15th. And as Courtney mentioned, the Planning Commission meeting for the 9th will be canceled as well. And that's because we had anticipated initially that Avalon would have submitted already for the July meeting. But with all of the back and forth with DTE and making, they really like to make sure they have the plan down pat before they come in. They're going to submit in time for the August meeting. So that only left us with election of officers, which I remember you like a lot, Scott. And Matt and I decided that it didn't really make fiscal sense to have people come for a meeting that will take less than 15 minutes. So Planning Commission will have the night off and we'll come back August 5th for that meeting. Election of officers, we'll talk about small cell 5G technology, but more importantly, we'll get those election of officers taken care of. I met with Jim Heisler along with Dan and Patrick to discuss a right-of-way permit. You know, the house that Mr. Heisler's building at 3441 Broad Street, next to the train depot building. They need to, excuse me, put a new lead lateral from the house to the main. It's not in the location that was identified on the survey for their preliminary zoning compliance approval. And so they have to go through a process of amending that and then applying for a road right-of-way permit. Initially, he wanted to do an open cut, but an open cut on Broad being a truck route, we really had some concerns about it. So we sat down, Mr. Heisler was very amenable to understanding that there are significant costs involved to do an open cut like that. And so he's going to do a bore and jack under the road. DPW will work with him, and it should be a lot less expensive for him and a lot better for traffic management overall for everyone. Excuse me. I met with Allison Keatley, not in Planning Commission capacity, but in her capacity as an engineer for the city of Ann Arbor. She's the one that's been their lead person on the small cell 5G technology. And you'll recall in different memos that I've had to you, FCC changed some rules, state legislature passed legislation and the governor signed it in the lame duck that changed what telecos could do on public and private property and our road right-of-ways. And in some instances, we have limited zoning ability to zone or even take permits. So we're trying to understand all of the complicated details that surround this. MML has been very helpful. They have they work with a group, ProTech, I think is the name of it. It's a membership group. I won't get into all of that, but they've come up with with really good checklist and sample regulations for dealing with this. I'm going to work more with Allison, contact MML, as well as our own city attorneys, but it looks like we'll be coming forward, maybe not August, closer to September, to Planning Commission and ultimately Council. Planning Commission if there's any zoning, definitely Council, because most of this will be changes to the general code. Excuse me. Courtney and I met. It was interesting because no sooner had I met with Allison and then we got a call from a gentleman or an email from a gentleman with Verizon that wanted to talk about expanding their fiber network. So currently they don't own their own infrastructure, let's say. So they want to now own it so they have control of it and obviously be able to not have to pay someone else for the use. So he said this was not the same as the small cell 5G. I'm not 100% sure I believe it, but he said that they will be applying for the permits for working underground. Most of this is going to be underground. If there is overhead or poles that are needed, they're working out an agreement with DTE to use existing DTE poles. We'll have to wait and see what they come in and apply for, but in the meantime, we're going to be moving forward with our own regulations on the small cell and the 5G so that we are able to do what we can in regards to regulating where these little poles can go. Because we don't want a whole bunch of new poles willy-nilly just put up because it benefits the telecom but doesn't do anything for the aesthetics within the city. So there'll be more to come on that. Staff received another complaint about the construction at 8440 Park Ridge. That's in Westridge. That's the house that's being built where Bridgeway dead ends into Park Ridge. The builder has been asked, and the homeowner finally put her foot down that they could not trespass onto her property as they're constructing the home. And she's documented multiple times where they haven't done that. And she has sent it to me, and I have to say, I mean, if you tell somebody to stay off your property and they don't, I mean, how many times do you know, just say, oh, okay, that's okay, don't do it again. So what I've done is I've contacted the builder and I've let them know that prior to final zoning compliance, I will be asking them for a performance bond so that the adjacent property owner's property is repaired and brought back to the condition that it was prior to the construction starting. So hopefully the builder will find a way to keep his contractors from trespassing, but it's an unfortunate situation, but at least the construction is almost done. Staff routinely checks on the enforcement at 8250 Huron. That's the property that was a junkyard or operating as a junkyard, salvage yard. They have done a remarkable job. If you get a chance to drive by, take a look. It's not completely done yet, but they have made marked efforts really to clean up. They still have a ways to go, but it's you'll be surprised. I'm very pleased with it and glad that they continue to work with me. And the last thing, I will be on vacation all of next week. I will leave you in the capable hands of Mike, but I will be here through Friday afternoon, so if you've got any questions, feel free to let me know. And with that, I'm done, unless you've got other questions for me.
Item number 3, the business retention visit for the people that are Commonwealth Heritage Group. It says approximately 10 of those professionals work out of the company's headquarters here in Dexter. They love being in downtown Dexter. It would be nice if you told us where that office was.
The Commonwealth Heritage Group is on Central Street. It's in the house that used to be the Spice House.
Okay.
So they're in that building, and then the building behind that.
That used to be the hair salon.
They used to be the hair salon, Mona Lisa. So they have both of those.
It'd be nice to know when you say that.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
And also the last thing is the quarterly report is in there. Sorry, it's tardy. Development reviews may be down, but permits continue to be strong at a very good pace. So that's it.
Thank you for that report. Other questions? Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
Okay, the sheriff's report is in the packet. Any comments on the sheriff's report? Written report?
Maybe we could do a mailer to Huron Farms to lock cars or not leave computers in their unlocked cars overnight. Sheesh. A lot of green dots there.
Yeah.
Common sense is not so common.
It's what? Common sense, what?
Not so common. I can't take credit for that. I think that was Ben Frank.
Yeah, it says unlocked vehicles on like 8 of the report there. Are any of them like in the garage? It was unlocked, but it was in the garage? Because technically, how do you break into an unlocked car?
It's an unlawful entry.
Okay.
But no, I'm not aware that any of them were ever, yeah, you would have said that. They were all just crimes of opportunity. And we have included things from like the sheriff saying lock the vehicles, but it's hard to get everyone to do that.
Paul?
Just a comment, I went to the chamber meeting this morning, and I would let you know that the Dexter Days group has asked to leave the chamber. You're not familiar with that? It was concluded through our attorney who happens to be, Karen Madge, who happens to be on our board, and Darren Arnell, who was, I don't know if it was representing them or speaking for them, I didn't quite get that answer, that they felt that this year was not going to happen because they don't have a 501c3, number one, okay? And I told them that there had been times in the past when there was concern about Dexter Days and the finances and the process and how that was done. And then a statement was made and then clarified after they left that the city does nothing for Dexter Days. And I reacted to that, as you may imagine. And so I guess just to help me out, maybe them, we could give a list either through the DPW or us or anything else that tells us what the city does for Dexter Days, okay? I mean, it's a lot, and it costs us money. And so if you could just help me out with that, I would appreciate that. It doesn't have to be done right away, but
Well, ironically, most of it is outlined in the letter that they send us asking us to do those things.
ironically, okay, I got it, okay. And then afterwards, they were told that, I was told that they are going to come to us next year and ask us for money for Dexter Days, okay? I said, us, the city, okay. And Jim's smiling, and I think I smiled as well when I heard that, and I said, we'll be dealt with that when it's there. It's an interesting group. I can say that we now have a full board on the chamber. I think some really good people, very good people. They were there today. They have an accountant, and they are working through the books to figure out all the details that I had some concern before that I expressed, okay? But overall, I was happy with the meeting today, except for the one beginning of it, and if you could help me out with that. And if you give me a copy of that letter, that would be really helpful, that process. Thanks a lot. I was a little surprised, maybe a little shocked, but I didn't react. Just said, I'll get the information. So, thanks for that time.
Any further comments on sheriff or other committees?
We did ask the sheriff to pay special attention to First Street Park. We received a complaint from an area resident. We've also had issues with the porta potty getting knocked over. We actually have a trail cam out there right now hoping to catch or see something that's happening to this, but they're complaining about kids doing like donuts in the parking lot, and they had some time today, and so we sent that information. I asked Sergeant Hunt to follow up with the homeowner. He's good about reaching out and kind of making the personal contact, and so hopefully they can keep an eye out and try to...
Down, homeowner?
Yeah,
That's
on
where-
Edison.
Huh?
A homeowner on Edison.
Edison. Thank you.
I think we're down to city manager report.
So I wanted to explain about the pedestrian safety bid. So obviously we're under a bit of a time crunch on that. So how we have it set up right now is the bid went out last week, Thursday, Friday. It's due on the 8th, which is the day of the meeting at 10 a.m. So I'd like council to still approve it on that same day. I know it's unusual, but we've talked so much about this project. And I don't want to wait till the 22nd because we're just losing time. So I'm unless it's somebody we've absolutely never heard of and it's an issue, but I'm thinking it's going to be somebody who sent it to Fonson, GM and Sons is their sub, we put it on Mitten and in the paper and all of our usual places. I'm thinking it's going to be probably somebody that we know anyway or that we've worked with, So that is my intention is to keep that moving by having that on the agenda on the 8th, but it just won't be in the packet because we won't get it back until the 8th. The newsletter went out. It was in my mailbox today.
So you can have an explanation of that, right, in the packet?
Yeah, I'll
We'll
just
have
put it in there
an
that-
agenda item with a discussion that says bids are going to be received.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we can just say, that it was out and, that this is the scope of work. It's basically the Forest Street sidewalk and then the rapid flashing beacon, so it's not a huge, the bulk of the work's gonna be that sidewalk. We had a bit of a snag with the traffic signal change out. They ran the programming at Carrier and Gable and they can't get it to work with our existing box. There's just too much going on and they thought that it would work, but it didn't. So thankfully they tried it ahead of time. So we probably have to upsize the control box. So that is.
That's a Baker.
Baker and Main and Broad and Main. I'm not sure which one was, I think it was the Baker and Main that was the problem. So we need to kind of step back and look at that again.
And that's in order to add the extra light turning and signal and all that stuff?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, the flashing yellow arrow is the big get there. We do need to figure out what we want on the billboard for Adams. We talked about doing something with pedestrian safety because, or we have it the month of September. It'll be on the Baker Newman. So I don't know how, if anyone has any thoughts on what, you know, we can provide that to Adams and they can do a design. I don't know if maybe putting a rapid flashing beacon up there and that says, you know, watch for pedestrians. I mean, it's got to be short, obviously, because people only have a certain amount of time to read it. But if anybody has any thoughts on what you want that to say, we need to start getting that over to Adams because it takes them a while to develop the design. Oh yeah, I don't know if anybody thought on this drone usage. You know, I was just gonna have them do a right-of-way permit. We can put it in an email update when they're planning to do it. Just wanted to get some overhead shots. You know, it might be nice to, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. I just wanted to make you guys aware of it because it's a little bit unusual. They did some B-roll filming for whatever this show is on Animal Planet. If you Google it, you can figure out what it is. It's a barn, some show about a barn or something. And they came and did it, and it was fine. I didn't hear anything about it. They just took some footage on a Friday morning with a camera, but they wanted to do this with the drone, so.
Which right away do they want to use?
He didn't, well, it's just being on the street and getting the drone over. It would be downtown in Milton Park, you know, so. And then I guess the waste management contract is the other thing that is signed. The newsletter has a good article about what's gonna happen, so that will happen the week of the 8th. So hopefully that goes as smoothly as it can. We've had many, many meetings on it, so hoping that we've thought of a lot of different things. And the other thing for the consent agenda next meeting, one of the things in the budget for this coming fiscal year was a new International truck to replace the one that we have. And it's kind of a large purchase, but it's paid for with the equipment replacement fund, so we have the cash for it. But Kirk got the quotes back, they're all my ideal quotes. So that's something that will be on the consent for next time.
What is B-roll footage?
It's just stuff they show in the background. You know, it's not part of like the main thing, but when they like maybe come, you know, fade in, fade out, it's just stuff that's there. It's like just background stuff when you're watching a show. That's what they call it.
Do we get paid?
No, it's all just public.
Well, worse yet, they're passing it off as Chelsea.
Yeah, no, I don't. They're just doing area shooting.
I don't know why we would want to let them do that.
Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we?
I'm not exactly sure we can stop them from doing it, honestly.
Well, isn't drone use somewhat regulated?
No.
At all? None?
No. Only on the mayor's house.
It might be, I don't know. I don't know, is it a good idea to let people start doing it?
I don't think we can stop.
Once it's in the ground, it's FAA. The only exception in the state of Michigan is there's a bill to limit it over Mackinac Island. Other than that, we have no teeth.
He was just being nice to ask before he did it.
Yeah, it seems like he's just, I don't think there's any obligation for him to get a permit.
No, I think they just try to work with the local communities to not create a problem.
Anything else? You all set? Questions for Courtney? Okay. I have several reappointments in the packet under the consent agenda. Just wanted to make people aware of those. We did have one member decline to come back for ACH, Martha Gregg. I indicated she wanted to put more time into the Historical Society and some other things she was doing, so I'll be bringing a recommendation to fill her spot as soon as I can go through the existing list and or re-advertise for it. As a reminder, I'm not going to be here on July 8th. Paul, you're still good to?
Still good?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Back to the appointments for a second. With the DDA, I kind of tripped on the fact last meeting that Mike Fitzpatrick actually lives in the district now.
Yes.
And I didn't know that. I don't think it's been for that long, but he's been there. And, we have had Dan O'Haver as a member for 10 years, basically, because he was the resident of the district. You have to have one. And we didn't have anybody else identified at that point. So now that Mike lives in the district, I'm going to look for somebody to replace Dan O'Haver on the DDA. That's why he's existed there, even though I haven't made a meeting in forever. But I want to let everybody know that. So if there are people in the downtown or in the DDA area that you know of that might be interested, I'll be looking to make a recommendation, and would appreciate your help in getting that message out.
I think there was at least one person on our list, existing list.
Yeah, that's asked for it, yeah. I'll probably advertise for a couple positions at the same time. DAFD took some action this past Thursday to formally set up a other post-employment benefits MERS account to start saving to pay for future retiree health care obligations. If you remember, the city started doing that back in 2008, and we have a good chunk of money, 1.3 million or thereabouts, built up in our fund. So DAFD started doing that. I think we have in our budget this year to put $25,000 in this fiscal year 2019. It's just another one of those things that down the road will become handy as the existing members retire and we have to pay for both their health care and the newer firefighters that come on board. So I think that's a good step. Courtney mentioned, I wanted to mention public, that you included in your email to the council last week that the MERS defined benefit percentage went from 88 to 87, right, which is we consider to be a win, given the way the fourth quarter went last year. So we're doing some good things there. DAFD's report for their defined benefit plan was at up to 70%. So in 3 or 4 years that we've been putting more than the thing in a little bit better stock market working out, we've come up from in the 50s to 70. So we're making progress there. We're not out of the woods yet, but we're making progress. So I just thought I'd report those things.
Thank you.
And then have a happy 4th of July, everybody.
Yeah.
Remember to follow the new fireworks law.
Heard a couple last night.
I did too.
I don't know if anybody had any questions on the trail, but I had sent on the trail, the JR did submit everything on Friday.
Oh, you emailed yourself?
Yeah, so, but JGR, we did get confirmation they had submitted everything on DOT, and like I said, we're still waiting for the DEQ permit, but the pressure's kind of off of that because of the 2020 funding, so.
We are down to the first written council member report.
I've got nothing to add. Just people keep asking me stuff, and I figured it was a lot easier to point into an agenda that or a packet that exists online than running off paper from my wife's printer.
Appreciate Zach doing that.
Okay, seeing no questions on that. There are 4 items on the consent agenda, and typically Donna reads them, so I'm asking for some help tonight.
I can do that, okay? No, that's an appropriate one, but I'll certainly give it a shot.
Okay? Motion by Cousins. You want to read them just to roughly
Yes, I
get them on the records for those watching from
Flip through here and make
on
sure I got
YouTube?
the right ones here, okay? Adam's bills and payroll of the amount of $454,183.49. Purchase of zero torn mower from Boyan Sales, not to exceed $15,300. The reappointments that Sean already mentioned, and the waive contracts for the year 2019-20.
Okay, so motion by Cousins. Second. Second by Smith. Ms. Jones, if you would do a roll call vote to accept or to approve the consent agenda?
Shouse,
Yes.
Knight,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Cousins.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
And Elizabeth.
Motion carries. Okay, we have no old business this evening, so we're down to new business item L1, which is consideration of the General Appropriations Act to adopt the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget.
I'll move we approve.
Moved by Smith, second by Bell. Thank you both. Courtney, anything to comment on here?
No, we didn't change much except for the SAW grant, estimates for SAW grant revenue for next year. We'll be finishing that up, so that was added to municipal streets and sewer. That's mostly passed through. Other than that, it's been the same. And we've done the general obligation, or the General Appropriations Act now for several years, so it's the same format. We also adopted DDA's budget as part of that.
On the, just a question, on the solid waste collection stuff and what we're doing with waste management, we've got a table in here that shows the increases, and the paragraph above has a sentence that says a total increase of $532 per unit.
Right in year 5.
How do we get to that number? I mean, I see between the current number, 1850, and 22-23, there's a $6.33 increase.
What page are you on?
I'm on
Is it
page
25?
82 of the packet.
No, that's just the waste management contract piece. That's not, the residential per month cost needed is for everything, for leaf pickup and street sweeping and salary. But when we had all this stuff with the budget and it was just the waste management proposal, that's the increase, that's just the waste management proposal piece.
Okay, maybe we could re-clarify that for whatever we publish online. That's really confusing to me. I've stared at that trying to figure out.
Yeah, it came with a lot of other information when we did it originally with the memos and the stuff that's in the work session packet. This was just a briefer version because we've seen it before, so. We don't publish, when we publish it with the 2250, we don't.
Right, which would be a $4 increase, not a $2.52 increase.
Right, the 252 increase is just the cost for residential service from waste management, not our residential service in its totality. We pay for more than waste management.
Right, I'm just saying that, so something else has gone up.
Yeah, the equipment rental fees for the new equipment, we have to pay for recycling now, all 100% out of pocket. Salaries go up.
Okay, all right.
And that was all in the-
All I'm saying is I read that, I didn't get it, to me, that could be clearer for residents. Because when you look at the table below, you're looking for the increase and you don't see those numbers in the text. Usually the text would describe, like it doesn't say there's a $2.52 increase and there's also a $1.48 associated with
Right.
something else.
Right, and that was in the additional information that had been provided previously, so.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion by Smith, second by Bell. Any other comments? Okay, please call the vote to approve the budget.
Bell?
Yes.
Cousins?
Yes.
Shells?
Yes.
Smith? Knight?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes. Motion carries. New business item L2, consideration of a purchase agreement with MAVD for property on Dexter Ann Arbor.
I'll make the motion. And if you look at the flow chart or flow diagram, be the option 1 under 624 to vote to enter into the purchase agreement to pay $20,000 deposit to MAV and begin the inspection period.
Can I add a additional thing to your motion that we need to allow staff to cut the check and make a budget amendment to cover it.
And here, can you speak louder?
I agree with that.
We'll have to cut the check before the next run, and because it will happen in June, we need a budget amendment to cover that, so just
Okay.
an appropriate budget amendment.
Add that on there too.
What will that come out of?
Fire, our overage and fire, or underage and fire, there's $44,000 sitting there, so take it from there.
It's coming out of the fire, the amendment or the
amendment.
dollars?
Well, they're just coming out of general fund, but I'll make the amendment to take it out of the $44,000 we were under because our fire department payment was lower.
Okay, so this isn't coming out of the facilities reserve account?
No, I mean, I guess it could, but I wasn't going to.
Okay, just asking, wasn't clarified. Is there a second for that motion?
Yep.
Second by Michelle? Thank you.
There is just a small typo on page 129 of 182, under 4A. And it's sole discretion base, Don, such procedures.
Point to that again, please.
Page 129, 4, subparagraph A. The top line there, purchaser shall have determined in its sole discretion base, Don, such procedures. Instead of based on, it's base.
I gotcha.
I see it. Well, I'm going to vote no on this because I don't think this fits our master plan. I don't think it improves our response times if we were to put the facility there. I think we're overpaying for the property. I think we're overpaying for the condition to buy 5 months for $40,000 if it goes that far. And I don't think the residents we've actually heard from, the majority of them, are in favor of it. And it also goes against our fire chief's recommendation for where the fire station should go in the city, at least in the last written document that he provided. So for those reasons, I'm voting no.
Out of curiosity, what's the written document where the fire chief said he didn't want it there? I spoke with him on the phone this afternoon.
He provided a summary or a document in 2016 or 17 that said that the fire station should be located on the northern side of the city. It's in plain text. I brought it up before as part of our discussions with him in the room, and he's agreed, he's admitted that he said it. Any other questions or comments? I'm happy to share that with you, Zach. It's not a secret. I'll email it out to everybody. If you don't already have it. I believe council was provided with that. Seeing no further questions, Mr. Jones, please call the vote.
Michelle's,
Yes.
Knight,
Yes.
Cousins,
Yes?
Smith,
Yes.
Bell,
No.
Keel.
No. Motion carries 4-2. New business item L3, consideration of the 1920 fee schedule.
I move we adopt the fee schedule as presented.
Motion by
Second.
Michelle's, second by Knight. Thank
Yes.
you both. That's good teamwork. I didn't even get the Michelle's out, so thank you. Courtney, do you want to introduce anything?
No, we didn't really make any changes, or a lot of changes, because we had just made a lot of changes last year. But we like to have the centralized document. I think it's been working well to have all of our fees in one place. We added, we got rid of recycle bin because we won't be selling those anymore. And there were a couple of charges Waste Management asked us to add in the contract for overloading and contamination for some of our, the commercial recycling, so. And those will just be if, we give them warnings and they don't change their practices, so, not too much changing.
Zach?
I noticed under the set by, some of the resolutions and contracts have lines underneath them. Is that an editing thing, or is that because there's a hyperlink that pops to?
It's editing.
Okay.
Underline means something was added.
Gotcha.
Strike through means that it was deleted.
Okay.
So under refuse and recycling, we have residential refuse collection fee, $22.50 a month, which is what we just set in the General Appropriations Act. What does shared container fee residential mean?
That's for residential units that use a shared container, use a shared dumpster downtown. It's our downtown residents that use a shared container.
So how do we handle properties that have apartments or dwelling units or that have two essential RUs per lot?
It depends. So if they have a dumpster, sometimes the property owners have a dumpster, those are usually for more than two. If it's two, then both pay if it's just two regular, like a house on Second that's divided into 2 units, that's $22.50 per month per house, per unit.
Is that how you do it?
I don't know how I do it. You have to ask my wife. She does finances.
His isn't a standalone, so I don't think that his would be. But when there's 2 different addresses and 2 different meters,
I have one meter.
Why wouldn't it be?
I don't know of all the instances like his.
Right, but if we know of one,
We'd have to double check. I don't know off the top of my head what's on Paul's bill, so I'll have to double check. But something like that is different, might be different than if it's like a duplex.
Well, it's basically $22.50 per cart, right? So if you have 2 apartments in there, your kid's living up top, and you fit it in the bin, you're paying a $22.50. If you got more from Waste Management, you're paying more for the extra bins.
well, the word shared caught me, and maybe I didn't interpret it correctly, but it made me start to think about some things. I'm not trying to pick on your situation, but like, do you get 100% homestead exemption?
Yes.
Yet you rent out part of your property.
And
I would
have
say
a-
that should be somewhere between 0 and 100
I have a,
from an assessing perspective, or I
Well,
don't
it's
think I
not.
would qualify for 100.
I don't know.
well, it does, under the law. Okay?
Do you have 2 water meters? 2 water?
Nope, 1 water meter.
But I mean, there's 2 RUs
One
there.
one electric
There should
meter.
almost be 2 ready to serve charges or something like that.
1 electric meter.
Yeah, I mean, that would take a lot of looking into around.
What's the difference between shared? I guess I don't.
How we're using this is our downtown, we consider our downtown containers our shared containers. Are the one by Hotel Hickman, the one by Encore, those are our shared containers. So if you're a resident and you're sharing in that container, you pay a cost to that. That is the only thing we consider our shared. Everything else is either a dumpster or a residential.
So like the dumpster in the alley between Second and Third.
That's paid for by the apartment owner, the owner of the apartment complex.
Okay, is that an apartment complex?
I don't know exactly, but I mean, usually if it's a dumpster in a residential area, it's because
It's a home, I think.
between Second and Third and what?
Between Central and Dover. I think, if I'm thinking about it right.
I don't think a lot of
can't
homes.
visualize which one you're talking about. I can visualize the Second Street, what do you call it, Dexter Lofts or?
The flats.
There's a couple on Grand that have dumpsters.
Apartment complexes.
Apartment complexes that have dumpsters.
Maybe I'm off a lot.
Creek.
Yeah, off a lot. Okay.
Yeah, it's all of our, because some of the apartment complexes treat themselves as commercial because they don't want to have, they just like to have the dumpster.
And then that cost is fully passed through to the property owner.
And I should clarify, you asked me about meters, I said we have 1 meter, we actually have 2 meters, we have one for watering outside, and we have one for residential use. So we do have 2 meters, but they don't use that meter at all. They don't water outside. And I should also let you know that that apartment's grandfathered in under the present ordinance we have in the city of Dexter.
You're talking to your apartment?
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but, okay.
Well, I do.
Okay. Those are my questions. I'm not clear on the shared, but I guess it's just in the downtown.
Right.
And we have a map of what that would be.
We do have.
Yeah, we have one.
a list.
I mean, if somebody
Yeah.
wanted, because it doesn't say the word downtown there anywhere.
Yeah, no, it's the people that use the dumpsters downtown. Yes, I don't know who they are.
Other questions? Seeing none, please call the vote to accept the 2019-20 fee schedule.
Smith,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Knight,
Yes.
Cousins.
Yes?
Keel.
Yes. Motion carries. New business item L4, consideration of the fiscal year 18-19 budget amendments.
Move we adopt the 18-19 budget amendments.
Motion by Smith,
Second.
second by Knight, thank you. Courtney, any comments to make?
No, I don't know if there's any questions.
Do you want to add the other budget amendment, or is that included in the previous motion?
It can just be in the previous motion, though.
Okay. Questions by council? Please call the vote to accept the budget amendments.
Knight,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Michelle's,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Cousins.
Yes.
Keel.
Yes. Motion carries. New business item L5, consideration of the fiscal year 18-19 Downtown Development Authority budget amendments.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion by Bell. Support. Second by Smith. Thank you both. So Carol is pointing out that the top line,
I can't remember how I corrected.
The budget amount, if I remember correctly, is the correct amount, the math is wrong.
Yeah.
okay, so it's supposed to be
5,000.
8,900, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be 8,900.
Oh, no, that's supposed to be 99, but this is supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the final number's right, the math.
Yeah.
I
it's just-
misunderstood.
yeah,
Okay,
I said
fair
that.
enough.
Yes, yeah, 5
Okay.
or something. yeah.
Okay, thank you. Other comments or questions by council? Please call the vote.
Cousins,
Yes.
Knight,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Michelle's,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Keel.
Yes. Motion carries, thank you. Consideration of the city manager employment agreement.
I move we accept the agreement.
Support. Moved by Smith, seconded by Bell. Courtney, what percent increase did we?
It was
For you?
the same as the other 3.5.
Okay, that's good enough, thank you. Any further questions by council? Don't see any hands up. Please call the vote to approve the agreement.
Knight,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Cousins,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Michelle's,
Yes.
Keel.
Yes. Motion carries. Item 7 is a discussion item, follow-up facility meeting. Courtney, I guess I'll turn that over to you.
Yeah, so the information that Zach helped us get, based on the conversation from last meeting is in here, along with the doodle poll of the dates that went in the beginning of July up through the beginning of August. Or no, I guess I did through to July, thinking how those might work, so.
Mr. Bell?
Thank you.
Yes.
The consultant's proposal, quote, is it your concept that that would be a meeting just for council? Or council planning, or a public hearing? Or?
It really could be either way, but it just kind of depends on the topics people are interested in. So, I mean, if he's coming anyway, it could be something where it's like, 2 days, or it's, an hour with council and then the public comes after. It really just depends on the topics that you would want to be covered. It could go either way. If you think it's just better to have education on a topic for council or something that the public would attend. Not that the public couldn't come when they were talking to council, and that would be a public meeting, obviously, but it depends on the advertisement level.
And I've been poking around with them. They are also able to do something just for council on a go-to meeting type thing. So if we have a room that has an actual screen that we can all see, like the OHM office or something like that, they could do it, one for us, ahead of a public informational meeting, and we can pick and choose, like, we don't really need this information at that type of a thing. So we both would learn and could shape the ultimate product.
So,
Good.
if we did an electronic internet meeting with this guy, is that not considered an open meeting?
Yeah, we would just have to post it like a regular work session, just be a work session, as long as you're here, like council physically, or the person can be anywhere else.
Yeah.
But it would just be a work session anyway. But I imagine that would be some cost to have something where they weren't obviously flying here.
And so Zach, you're saying that we could have that sort of conversation ahead of time before the person comes here to kind of tailor what we hear.
As you see in there, they do, the ones that I saw were the construction administration, which I think they're right, we probably aren't ready for that yet. But then the foundation, which I call, so you're going to build a fire station. But they also had a couple of other ones in there that I think might be useful, some bits and pieces like hot zone separation, how to build for less, those types of things. So we may want to pick a couple of modules from those as well.
How do we want to discuss this? We don't have a date where everybody's available, at least as advertised, and I don't know if that's by luck or bad luck. But we don't have one where everybody's available.
We don't have what?
We don't have a date where all of council is available. I mean, if we're going to pay whatever we have to pay, I would think that we should try and have it be a date where everybody gets the benefit of that. I'm not sure we need all of this, but that might if. Yeah.
I was just going to say, if we're talking about dates to meet with the consultant, we probably need to know the consultant's availability because materials indicated that he's being leaked. My personal opinion is that I'm not sure it's necessary for us to have this person come and speak at the public hearing. I don't know that that's really that wasn't my original vision for engaging with this guy. It was just to get a second opinion, second perspective from a professional on what's important to consider. But I think that's separate, because ultimately we have to make a decision. I think that's separate from what we want to get from the public. And I think it's separate from what I've heard the public say they want from us.
And you say that based on that one meeting?
And the follow-up comments that were
I
submitted.
mean,
in
whatever
writing.
the ones that were submitted, you say? Right, okay.
Yeah.
We have to admit that since that meeting, we have not had one citizen come and speak to this
No,
on either one of the issues, plus or minus.
Well, what we could do is, it looks like the best, well, I would propose July 31st for a go-to meeting type thing. There should be some way that we can archive it, so Ms. Knight would be able to watch it.
I can make a special effort to be here for that date. I'll be here. It's Wednesday, July 31st, from 6 to
Yep.
8. Now, if this is the meeting, we're just going to meet with him. He's going to meet with us, not with the public. Right.
Well, there are a couple, we could do it where he stays in South Carolina and does a slideshow by the internet that we watch, or that he comes here and we get to interact and we can show him this spot versus that spot and get kind of the outside opinion.
So you're saying the date of the 31st, that's what would take place?
Do we get the slideshow so we can put it on the website?
I would hope so, yeah.
So we'd need to find out if he's even available to do either a remote one or on-site on that date.
Yep.
I thought this doodle poll was for when we wanted to have a meeting with the public.
I think it originally was.
It was, yeah.
You're right.
We can follow up with them and ask about the 31st.
Do you need a motion?
No.
I wonder if we should plan a couple of work sessions for the July meetings. Because, yeah, that would give us a chance that, you know, if we have questions that we want to maybe submit to him to answer in the presentation. You know, the next time we have a decision to make about the MAV property is the 22nd. So kind of have to figure out what our options are as far as, you know, going the A route or the B route there as to whether you go ahead and, you know, buy it, or do you continue to buy more time? And maybe get some input as far as financing, you know, for those two possibilities. Just knowing that the deadline for a ballot is, I think, August 15th. And so
August 12th.
I think that's our meeting date, is August 12th.
Right.
I think the date is like a couple days after that.
Not on that one, I think the date in the item is the actual date of the, I think it's a Tuesday and our meeting is Monday and the language is.
Okay, so it's right after.
Yeah, the decision has to be made on the 12th.
Oh, yeah, the
Language
last,
is due the 13th.
the last regular meeting to approve ballot language. Okay. All right. So if, at some point in time, we need to start kicking around some, what the language would have to say. It doesn't have to be a long work session, but I think it'd do us good to at least have a conversation with what direction, a ballot would go.
So if we have questions, why aren't we asking our current architect?
Asking what? Asking who?
Our current architect is that. Or the fire chief. Or the combination of them two working together. This is a legitimate question, but I think that was a discussion I had.
I mean, I don't know. These all sound fine. Or they don't all sound fine, but some of them sound okay. But I mean, we have a resource on hand.
I'll tell you why. Mr. Gasson has built 2 fire stations. This guy has done 276. And whatever we do, there's going to be a significant investment, and I think $2,400 is pittance to pay for us to be confident in what we do. I want to find the best person in the room and pick their brain as hard as I can.
Okay, so maybe you could get this guy's resume then.
I'll ask him if he's got a list of all 276 fire stations.
Sure.
That's I'm concerned about us being able to have the information and dealing with that before the 12th of April, or 12th of August. I want us to have all the ducks in a row, so on the 12th of August, we can have somebody placed on the ballot. And it's a short period of time now, it's not a long period of time, okay? And we need to be able to have that so that we can move forward on the 12th. Place on the ballot on the,
I thought we were gonna have a public meeting though before we did anything else.
we haven't decided that yet.
No,
We talked about it.
Yeah, we keep pushing that off.
I agree. Part of the problem, we got closer to that 12th date, okay? So there's not too many dates left. You're gonna be gone on one of
With
those.
the exception of the fact that it was on the timeline, we haven't even talked about ballot.
No, but the facts are in front of you
Well,
of the time.
I'm going to make a motion to give a point to discussion. I move direct staff to contact Mr. Newell to arrange for a meeting either in person or by go-to meeting on July 31st.
This is a discussion item, Zach. We would all have to agree to change it to consideration.
All right, well, and that's actually a question I had for my comments, is I did not see anywhere in council rules where it has consideration, discussion, distinction.
I was wondering, do we want
Well, there is.
to see if he's available before, like between our 2 July meetings?
I would love that.
If there's,
And if it's that critical, if we have a motion to have a special meeting, we can have that.
or
We don't have to always meet on the two.
or have the
Mondays.
presentation be in the work session before one of the July meetings. Because then we could, maybe look at the 31st for the public meeting. If we can get him in here either at the 9th or sometime in between before the 2nd July meeting. And then we could, at the work session before the 22nd, talk about what we're going to do in the public meeting. and have the public meeting on the 31st.
It's your call, I'm not here on the 8th, so do whatever you want to do in the work session.
I like the idea of having a public meeting on the 31st, because it looks like everybody except me at that point in time said they could make it. And I just said I would make a special effort to be here for that. So I agree with Jim. I'd like to have the conversation with him sometime before that, obviously.
Okay, well, we can get dates for him from between the 8th and the 22nd and see if he has any available that work for people.
And can we lock in the 31st as the public meeting?
By 10, if everybody, we can.
Yeah. Nail it down now while everybody's
Julie's willing to.
available.
I will be here.
We'll find a room for that.
Anytime
Can't be
you plan
here,
it.
so.
What's that?
It can't be here, so it may end up somewhere in the schools.
Yeah, but odd chance the library might be.
We can try.
I tried to schedule 2 the other day, and didn't get a date.
Yeah, so. Bates is on DIP hearing, so.
What's that?
Should be plenty of room in there. Bates.
Oh. They have a couple of big rooms there. You have the library there, you have the cafeteria / gym.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, so we have direction there. Any further discussion on that? New business item L8 is consideration of Arts, Culture, and Heritage Committee Master Plan.
I'll move we adopt the Arts and Culture Master Plan.
Moved by Smith.
Support.
Bell. So Justin, what would be the procedure for murals?
Well,
For approving the David Zinn project? Or does this automatically approve that?
I don't think that this would automatically approve that, since the David Zinn mural would be a permanent piece. I would imagine it would go through the art selection committee and final approval by city council.
Same with the rest of the permanent art.
The list of projects included.
So I mean, with that in mind then, on page 10, could it say potential artistic projects? Instead of identified, because we're not approving them.
It could.
I'm looking, if you can use the bottom numbers.
I'm sorry, Paul, let me, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
It's page 10 of the master plan, it's 178.
Okay, one second.
Of our
Thank you.
packet, our packet.
Because there's 2 numbers, page 9s.
Okay,
All right,
yeah, so on page 178,
got you, okay.
there's project descriptions.
And I see the David Zinn,
And
that's
instead
what
of
you're talking about.
well, the title though, instead of identified artistic projects, if we change the word identified to potential, because they're all potential until they get approved, right?
Correct.
I don't want to turn this into I like this versus that, but if they're all in the framework of the plan as potential, and then they come before whatever process gets to us, then they stand a fair chance equally, just like something that's not in this plan could also, if it were a good idea and had momentum, right? So I'm thinking that instead of identified as if they're actual, you make that potential.
We'd have to change the preceding page as well. There's a table that uses it.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Scott.
Sorry, Scott, what was that?
The preceding page, there's a table on page 9 of the plan. So there's text on page 10, but also on page 9.
The table with the,
Right, yeah, so the idea is that the table would become page 9. Because once you remove a couple of lines, or,
no,
table
he's
is
just saying,
page 9.
he's just saying the table has a title that says identified artistic projects, just like the text.
oh, okay.
Change the word
Gotcha.
identified in
Yep.
both locations to potential, is what he's saying. Good catch.
Yeah, so I'm gonna ask you, you don't like the Davidson philosophy, you don't like his work, you don't like, what about, you mentioned that before.
I'm not sure, but I don't necessarily know that I like this. I'm not sure I like the idea of just painting on the bridge or painting on a wall because it's ours, or I would just like it to have at least some approval process. And I think that rather than saying identified, you could say potential, and then if it's brought forward. I've talked to a few committee members, and I'm not sure they're all even in favor of it, even though it scored a 7.2, whatever that is. So what happens on these kind of committees is a lot of stuff is rallied by one person, and nobody wants to say no to anybody particularly, so a lot of stuff comes forward. That's my suspicion of this. But in fairness, I've supported the Arts, Culture, and Heritage Committee the entire time, and I want to continue to do that. I'm just making a one-word suggestion in the whole document. Right, I mean, that's the purpose of us reviewing it, right? So,
I'll be here sometime. I was just saying that there's people in the city that do this very similar type of art. I didn't know if you were referring to that person, you'd like, should have somebody in town doing this?
well, it doesn't say David Zinn or other, or David Zinn like. I mean, this says specifically David Zinn, and I would agree that there could be others that we want to do, so that, it's a great point.
Justin, do you remember what
I don't
the
know.
name of that style of art is?
I would just call it mini mural.
Thank you.
If
I don't know if the maker of the motion and the seconder like the idea of changing identified and potential now. Is that okay with you guys? Love it. Okay. That's a strong like.
I haven't felt strongly about something in a long time.
Good to hear. I'm sure your wife's excited with that.
Are there any other comments on the plan? Seeing none, please call the vote.
Al,
Yes.
Michelle's,
Yes.
Knight.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, I didn't.
I'm trying. Cousins,
Yes.
Smith,
Yeah.
Keel.
Yes.
Dramatic vote.
Thank you. Council comments this evening, starting with Mr. Michelle's, please.
I would like for the future agendas to not have the consideration discussion distinction. I wasn't able to find it in our rules. It seems like a way to control and stifle stuff, and either if we want to keep it, we ought to put it in our rules, or we should take it out. And that's all that I've got.
Just as a response to that, it's our way of notifying the public as to whether there's anticipated action or not.
But it's not consistent with our rules. If we want to do it, we ought to change our rules to match it.
Thanks for that comment. Ms. Knight?
Yes, I ran into Mr. Dale Fisher the other night at the Gordon Hall festivities Saturday night, and he would like to be on our agenda sometime. Dale Fisher, the photographer. So I told him I would bring it up.
Okay. So you have a date that he wants to be here?
He didn't specifically say a date, no. We just told him we meet twice a month, the second and fourth Monday, so.
We told him?
I told him, I'm sorry. Benny Fusilier and I were talking
Gotcha,
to him,
gotcha.
so.
I'd see what, give him our dates and see what he's available. He's welcome to any meeting under prearranged.
Okay. On the other thing, I will not be here on the 8th also, on our next meeting.
Anything else?
No?
Mr. Smith? Ms. Jones?
I don't think I can try.
Mr. Bell?
No, I'm good.
And Mr. Cousins?
Yeah, I got a couple here. I have a discussion with Dale Fisher as well, and he would like to be on the next meeting. I told him I would indicate that at the time that he can speak as under arranged participation. So if you will prearrange, put him on that agenda for that period of time. He did not give me his reason for doing that, okay? I think I'd also be remiss, and I've stated many times, that as usual, the public is totally absent when we talk about the budget. It has been that way for years. It's either, and I've said tongue in cheek, either they don't care or they trust us. I hope it's the latter, okay? But I don't know how many years I've been on a council, and I don't think I've had but one time that a citizen ever came and talked to the council about the budget. And thank you, Ms. Jones, for hanging in there.
Okay, we are on to non-arranged participation. Anyone in the audience who would like to speak this evening? Seeing none, I will seek a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Before I call all in favor, just before I call all in favor, under the council rules, Zach, item L, under new business, it says this portion of the agenda is for consideration of action items as well as discussion of items previously tabled or postponed. So there is a distinction between consideration and discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.